Welcome back. Mitch Argon here with Calneva Realty. I'm going to take you through the greater Reno Tahoe real estate market for March of 2024. Just a few moments. Okay, let's get started. Like in prior months, we'll start off with the median price. As you can see here that the median price is up across all markets. In reality, probably up in the single digits. You'll see a couple of anomalies here where the prices are higher. February 2024 over February 2023. That is not a sustainable number. It's probably just a 1 month high relative to maybe a low the prior year. So we're probably seeing upward pressure on pricing in the single digits across the board on a steady state. This chart will show you what this looks like visually, gives you a better indication. You can see a market like Fernley down here at the bottom, which is green with no overlap, has been pretty darn stable for the last couple of years. We saw a little bit of a dip here at the fourth quarter, early first quarter, late 2022, early 2023. But if you go back 2 years ago, you can see we're probably right about where we were, 382 down here to 385 now. It was a little bit lower a year ago. So pricing has been stable, and that's consistent with what we've seen. Affordability has been a major topic in our markets, not only from price increases, but also from interest rate increases. We're up just a little bit from the prior month on the median price for Reno last month, which was $570,000. So $2,967 would be the payment amount that you'd have for principal and interest, not including taxes and insurance, for a 20% down, 80% finance, conventional loan with a good buyer profile. So still high, and interest rates may affect that. Obviously, we'll bring that down at some point. Homes sold. We did see a pickup in January and February of this year. We're up in terms of homes going under contract by about 20%. We track that every week here at the company. And so you're seeing that some of these markets, you can see we're up 18% from the prior year, down 11%. That's probably a blip on a given month. That's probably going to come back in line and be up about 15 to 20%. These two markets, we're kind of all over the road here, which is interesting. It's a little bit inconsistent, but we have been seeing the markets rise by about 15 to 20% through January and February compared to January, February of 2022. Pardon me, 2023. We are starting to see that moderate a little bit down now. We're probably more in the 5 to 10% range, but we're seeing homes going under contract this year compared to last year in that 5 to 10% range. Month supply of inventory over here, still low. You can see it's changed in different markets from a year ago, but still very tight. And that is largely what's driving this slightly upward pressure on prices. Is we have inventory constraint, we've got good demand, and those two things are keeping the markets pretty stable in terms of pricing. Inventory, with the exception of Carson City, which could be a reporting anomaly because I had to change the geographies for reporting because of the plan of our MLS to do away with the MLS areas. You can see it's generally down. We do track homes going under contract each week. We track new listings each week. And I think just about every week this year, our inventory has become more constrained. It keeps getting tighter and tighter as each week goes by, based on homes going under contract, meaning there's more homes going under contract than there are new listings coming on, which is a net decrease in inventory. Here, just for reporting purposes, is the month-over-month view for the last 2 years, and you can see how these numbers pan out. This is a major factor in keeping prices stable to modestly upward, is this low inventory. Month supply of inventory, touched on this just a few slides ago. You can see that these markets are, at this point, very much convergent into a tight range of between 1.3 and 2 months supply of inventory. There's been some deviations over the last couple of years, but for the most part, we've been running with the pack right in through here, following this line. Not as tight as it was back 2 years ago, but still very tight. And again, that's a major factor in determining what's happening in the marketplace with regard to pricing. So a couple of quick comments for you. Home prices are stable. Homes are still selling fairly quickly. You see that tight inventory. The home is priced properly, meaning it's in or very near its value range based on market values. Then we're seeing those homes go under contract in 1 to 2 weeks typically. If the home is not priced in its market value range or has some other characteristic around it that is not being well received by the market, it will take longer to get that home sold. We continue to see spot activity where we have multiple offers, typically earlier in the listing process, first week or two. We still are seeing multiple offer situations. So that's important, I think, just to point out whether you're a seller or a buyer in this market, just to get a feel for what's actually happening on the street. The second bullet point here is a national phenomenon. We are seeing it here locally as well. New home sales directly from builders, which we help a lot of people with who are buying in our markets here locally, are taking a much larger percentage of the overall market. That number right now is sitting at about 32%, so nearly 1/3 of all the sales nationally are new construction. That number has historically been around 10%, right over in here. So why is this happening? Well, one, we talked about the inventory constraint, and new home builders are creating inventory. So they're creating a disproportionately larger portion of the market, about 3 times what it has been historically. That's one. And the second issue is the value proposition from new home builders is quite compelling for home buyers. I have a contract that's going to be closing on a new home purchase in Reno in a few weeks. And this buyer is getting an FHA loan. As it turns out, those are just the circumstances that presented themselves for this buyer. And the interest rate, combined with the FHA rates being a little bit lower than the standard conventional rate, and the new home builders buy downs is 4.99%. So you are getting more financeable value as well as a new home, and that's driving a lot more activity in new homes. So if that's an interest for you, check with your agent here, and we can help you to locate those and compare and contrast, and in many cases negotiate benefits for you. So this market dynamic that we have, supply and demand is supply is tight, demand is reasonably strong, even relative to the rise in interest rates. So pricing is stable. It's likely going to stay that way. I think we'll probably continue to see, probably on a consistent basis, single digit price increases or home value increases as we go through this year. Nothing like we saw during the pandemic. It's going to be much more modest. When we see the Fed start to lower the rates, and there's been a lot of speculation from the stock market, from the Feds themselves, as to when that will happen and by how much. So, but sometime probably towards the back half of this year, when those rates do start to make any movement or adjustment and homes become more affordable because the rates are coming down, we could see this dynamic change. But until then, I think we're going to be pretty stable in our current markets. That covers it for this month. I did not touch on any of the changes that are happening within the real estate industry. I may touch on some of those separately because there are changes for both buyers and sellers coming based on some class action lawsuits that have recently been in the process of getting settled. But I want to just focus on the market here at hand for this video, because there's still a lot of unknown factors with these changes that are coming down, both for home buyers and for home sellers. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out by email to the agent who you may be working with in our company. If you don't have an agent, you can reply to the emails you may have received or post a message over. We have the complete report down below here, the Greater Reno Tower Real Estate Report. It's like 40 pages, and it covers all of our markets in detail, more detail than we went over here in this short video. Thank you very much for your time. Until next time, we'll see you.